Hello. Through this video, let us make an attempt to understand process mapping. I hope you've already gone through the video on SIPOC or COPIS. You would understand by now that in a SIPOC, C stands for the customer or the recipient of the output of the process, O, which is the output, the material or data that results from the operation of the process itself, P or process, are the activities you must perform to satisfy your customer requirement, I as an input, the material or data that a process does something to or with. And finally, S or supplier, whoever provides the input to your process. There are usually three versions of every process: what we think it looks like, what it actually looks like, and finally, what we wish it would look like. Don't jump to what we wish it would look like right now. You should set out to validate and evaluate your process maps. Walk the process again. Ask the questions. What happens if? What could go wrong? Who is responsible? How will it be done? When it will be possible? And update your process map accordingly. Asking yourself the questions of what, who, how, and when will help you understand the process gaps, build controls, identify improvement threads. Once you've done that, evaluate. Evaluate whether every step of the process adds value or not. Evaluate if this step is necessary or not. Evaluate if there are controls and measurement criteria in place. Check if the re's are occurring. Rework, revise, repeat, review. When you set out to map your process maps can help reveal unnecessary, complex, and redundant steps in the process. It makes it possible to simplify and troubleshoot. You can compare actual processes against the idle. You can see what went wrong and where. You can identify steps where additional data can be collected, which can then provide very meaningful information for business processes. While you set out to build process maps, work at establishing the process boundaries. List the inputs, the suppliers, and your key requirements. List your outputs, customers, and their key requirements. Observe the process in operation. Second, determine the scope. Determine how complex and detailed a map do you need to give you what you want. Determine the steps in the process. Follow the actual process if you are in a discovery phase. If not, generate all the steps. Don't worry about the order. Finally, arrange the steps in order and assign a symbol. There are some common symbols used across the industry while doing process mapping: for operations, for transportation, for storage, for procedure, delay, decision, inspection or measurement, operations and inspection, metric, document, input to a process, two-part metric, start or stop a process, on-page connector, off-page connector, and finally, the process flow connector. Once you finalize the process flow, use the process mapping symbols and draw your process map. Now set out to do some value analysis. Things that you do could be value adds or steps that are essential because they physically change the product or the service, or that the customer is willing to pay for them and are done right the first time. The other are non-value adding work, steps that are considered non-essential to produce and deliver the product or the service, or to meet the customer need and requirement. Customer is not willing to pay for this step. Such steps are to be considered as NVAs or non-value adds. And the third, value enabling work, steps that are not essential to the customer, but allow the value adding tasks to be done better, faster, or maybe first time right. So once you're looking at your process maps, identify whether the process step is a value add work or a non-value add work or a value enabling work. Set out to identify the non-value added work in your business. You must understand that the cycle time is the process time plus the delay that we build in. NVAs could be redundancies, implicit or unclear requirements, tricky handoffs which require decision making, conflicting objectives, common problem areas, unnecessary approval needs, etc. You must think, what does the customer value? Anything that does not provide value to the customer is an NVA or non-value add. Thank you.